when Mr. Ndege has not yet been compensated. So we leave it at
Order, Chair.
Order, Chair. You can't tell the Chair
No,
order.
Chair,
you can only raise a point of order.
That is exactly what we are doing, point of order. It would be unfair, Chair.
Tomorrow I have not given you the mic.
Yes, please do.
We had 2 points of order. Can allow me to finish the flow of what I was going to say. Then tomorrow I will give you an opportunity. Yeah, Waziri, what I was saying to say, because of the interest of time, we have to close this matter, and I know members are very concerned. We have serious concerns, so members will try to summarize so that we can we will have Waziri touch on the issues you want to be touched on. Then I will conclude on what I'm trying to say. So, Honorable Marwa.
Thank you, Chair. The reason, Waziri, why I'm insisting on bringing up certain issues is so that your records are accurate. It is only out of accuracy that you are going to conclude this matter conclusively. Waziri, if you look at your table 1, it is reported that Siaya County total amount reversed is 0, having received 61,320,000. But on your breakdown, on your table 2, Waziri, you'll note that Siaya on breakdown, there is a column that says number who failed to appear for payment. And this number is quite substantial. It is 1,608. And in your very own column, it says that each was to receive 10,000 shillings. So if they did fail to appear, then it would therefore mean, Waziri, that that money is available for them when they do appear. And therefore, the first table that says that total amount that was reversed as appearing as 0 is therefore not true. Secondly, Waziri, last Parliament, the 12th Parliament, I sat in the Committee of Special Funds. One of our responsibilities was to go to Rongai, Nakuru County, and Molo and Njoro. It was about a land settlement fund. And land settlement fund was the fund that government used to compensate IDPs. As we speak, Waziri, and I want you to kindly go and check this, so many of those IDPs are still staying in IDP camps. There was a good effort to remove them from the camps where they were housed in tents, and then there was effort to put them in camps that were more dignified, and they were given land that they needed to go and till. That matter, unless it was solved yesterday, it's still live. We went to these farms. They are staying in camps. Kindly, Waziri, when you do retreat, kindly go and have a look at that, so that when you are concluding IDPs, matters IDPs, it's totally concluded. I want to appreciate Honorable Nikal, who has alluded to some of our cultures. Waziri, I come from Korea. In your report, it says totally that there was no Korea, either Korea East or Korea West, who suffered this indignity of post-election violence, a matter which is not true, because in Dr. Nikal's petition, several Korea people have also expressed interest that the government needs to compensate them. I am not maybe going to speak too much, because some of them are quite emotional. Those that were cut by power source and brought to Korea, it is impossible to say that nobody got affected. Waziri, I also want to tell you a bit of our culture. A Kuria person is extremely proud. Extremely proud. When they suffer these kind of things, they go back home. And usually what happens is that a neighbor, a brother, or something, they give you way so that you settle in dignity. A Kuria you will not find in an IDP camp. And for that reason, and there are so many of such cultures who opted to just go back home. And the very terminology, Operation Rudi Nyumbani, defeated the whole idea of compensation. Because if it's an Operation Rudi Nyumbani and already people have left and gone back and they have been given space to stay in their homes, then again that element of compensation would then miss that point, or they would miss out in that process. Some of them, Waziri, as you know, we stay along the border. Probably some of them found refuge there, and having gone through that kind of trauma, probably took so much time for them to come back. And when they did come back, it was said that the program is closed. So Waziri, I plead with you that all this, every Kenyan got affected, but they took the effects differently. Everybody, some even helped government. I'll tell you, and I want to thank you for coming to Isibania. Is it 2 weeks ago? The young man called Mwangi, who was brutally murdered in Isibania and therefore caused all that you saw there, is one of the people who the people of Kuria integrated. When the IDP, the post-election violence was happening, Kuria became a safe haven. And that is why there's so many people from central Kenya who are residents of Isibania and Kuria. He came as a young man around that time and worked his way bottom up to become what he became. And for that is why the people of Kuria were very emotional when he was killed, having come from such a background. So Waziri, we have a lot of things to say about this thing. I think the bottom line, Professor Nikal, is that we do have data that appears to be good data to close a case, but I don't think, Waziri, that this is conclusive. It is not conclusive at all. And Waziri, as I conclude, there are many, and I really appreciate the way you put it, that it is not only IDPs out of post-election violence, any indignity that causes people to be displaced. You be willing, and indeed the Constitution envisages that they need to be addressed. And that is why, equally around the same time you came to Kuria, we had another incident. We have so many issues that are bedeviling this country around that. People being displaced from their farms, from their original homes, and then they are settled or integrated within their own either relatives or friends. And all these are IDPs. And Waziri will be coming to you so that you can help us and also help this country settle itself and live with itself. I thank you very much, and sorry for taking too long.
Thank you, Honorable Marwa. Let me, Honorable Kandia.
Thank you, Chair. I think I want to also congratulate the CS for giving us a very comprehensive statement on this issue of IDPs. Mine is a very simple one. It has to do with Kenyans not forgetting what happened in 2007, 2008. What measures are you putting in place so that our Kenyans don't forget what happened in 2007, 2008, especially in making sure that we don't have a repeat of what happened in 2007?
Yeah, Honorable Caleb.
Thank you, Waziri, for your elaborate and on-point presentation. You are a super Waziri, and I know the petitioners' prayers will be dealt with. One question. You said that those people who were supposed to be compensated, and one reason or another, they failed to appear. Is it an ongoing process? Because since 2007, have they been compensated? Or if they appear now, will they be compensated? My question is it an ongoing process for compensation? Or when they appear, will they be compensated? Question number 2. Do we have funds in the humanitarian fund? Now that we have a petitioner who has petitioned and he wants his people compensated, do you have that kind of fund to compensate the IDPs? If not, are you planning to sort a cabinet statement so that some funds are released for the petitioners' people to be compensated? Thank you.
Okay, Honorable Edith.
Thank you. Let me take this time to congratulate the Waziri for the hard work. You are doing well, and congratulations. My concern, although you have said that the issue of IDPs should be it's a life matter. I'm just wondering whether there was for this particular one, for 2007-2008 post-election violence IDPs, was there a set period of time on when to identify the IDPs? Because sometimes it can be a challenge even to the government to keep on settling people. So my concern is whether there was a set period. Then for the National Consultative Coordination Committee, the committee which was dealing with the IDPs, is it still operational? And what is its status? Thank you.
Okay, Waziri, you can take that.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. If you allow me, before I answer the latest queries from the honorable members, that matter of the second petition, I've just been told that a letter was received this morning.
Waziri, let's conclude with this one.
Yeah.
Then we will finish with the second one.
Yeah, I just wanted to amend.
I agreed.
I wanted to amend what I said earlier. That we had not received.
Allow me to say.
Yeah.
Let's conclude with the refugee thing.
Okay.
Then we will have a 5-minute discussion on that petition before we close.
Okay. Thank you, Chair. I stand guided. Chair, I agree with the member who has said that there is a discrepancy between the table. I think the member for Korea East. A discrepancy between the table, the first table, and the details on CIA. To that extent, I agree. There is that inconsistency which I'm willing to look at. However, on the question of those who did not appear, whether or not, if they appear, they will be compensated. Our assumption is that they were not bona fide claimants, because if you make a claim, a notice is issued that the process of settling that claim is ongoing and you don't show up. Yet, on the other hand, we have had cases of fake documents, imposters in camps and other places. Our conclusion, our presumption, therefore, is that we assume that that claimant was not bona fide and they chickened out from the process. That was our reasonable assumption. With regard to the camps in Rongai, again, as I have said, that the matter cannot, a human rights matter cannot be closed, because the statute of limitations do not apply to the respect for and the protection of fundamental rights and freedoms of the individual. They are entrenched and they are perpetual. You cannot say from here to here we can respect human rights But from here, if you don't enforce your rights now, you can't enforce them later. That's not available. It's not lawful. With regard to the matter, again, which I think was raised by the chair himself on the 400,000, the purpose of the compensatory amount, and that's why some were given 10,000, others 25,000, others 50,000. Part of the assessment was to answer to the question of the nature of the loss. And the nature of the loss was influenced by factors like the kind of shelter which this person was displaced from, what kind of shelter, what size of land, because the purpose of the program on compensation is to ensure restorative justice. So a person who has minimal losses cannot get the same as somebody who has extensive losses. In fact, and I want to say perhaps the compensation was not up to value, but at least you need a criteria, again depending on the size of loss, the size of damage, and that's why the few that got 400,000 got that amount of money. With regard to the assertion by the member for Kuria East on people from Kuria East or Kuria West constituency who are in the list of the claimants presented by the petition by the Honorable Gîikaro, we will study that list and subject it to the same criteria. And if those claimants have they meet the criteria, they are genuine people, they can be ascertained they were displaced, and that they have proof of loss or damage, we will also treat them like the other cases. The member for Baringo Central did raise a very fundamental issue, which I think is an issue for our national discussion as various stakeholders in our national project of building a nation. And the member asked, what measures have we taken as the country's security managers to make sure that this ugly past of what happened in 2007, 2008 does not recur? And I want to respond by pledging to the member and also to the committee that what happened in 2007, 2008 should never and cannot be allowed to recur again. If Kenya did not learn from 2007, then it shall never learn. So what we are doing at the moment is to first of all acknowledge that what happened during that year is a result of two things. One is the culture of impunity, and two is the culture which we are gradually building in this country, generally across various parts of the country, generally across political formations, and that is the culture of violent resolution of grievances. The resolution of grievances, whether political grievances, economic grievances, of unemployment, political grievances, or whatever differences. And so, the measures we have taken in this administration is to implement the directives that the President has given us to depoliticize the machinery of the country that handles security and remove it from politics of whatever type, including politics of the ruling party. Because when you politicize the instruments of state for national security, you make them impotent to deal with national security threats, especially when those threats emanate from violent and disruptive resolution of political differences, because already the organs of national security will have taken sides. In most cases, they'll have taken sides in favor of the government of the day. We are very clear in our mind, it is the policy of the government that all the organs of national security must stay out of politics. And we are not allowed to process the politics of either the government side or to process the suppression of politicians who do not come from the party that is the governing party. Depoliticization of the security machinery of the state. Number two, enforcement. Honorable Chair, the reason why we have had this kind of issue is the culture of impunity, where people, including leaders, cause the kind of things that were caused by political rhetoric in 2007 through incitement, and nothing happens. Nothing much happened from 2007, except the 2 cases that were picked by the International Criminal Court. Nothing happened. We were unable to address the issue. So the issues are still underlying, but we will make sure we will not have another 2007, 2008. That's why we are very ruthless. Any leader of whatever nature, social leader, religious leader, political leader, who uses their position to incite public disorder, impunity, and violent resolution of any dispute, however genuine that dispute is, we will crush those people by enforcing the law ruthlessly against them, whoever they are, whether they are from the government side or from the opposition side. And that's why you've seen some of the incidents we have seen, including the violation of Îgiî police station by members of the public who actually had genuine concerns about the performance of the police and other state security agencies in Migori. But the solution is not to overrun a police station and break into the armory and start freeing persons in lawful custody. That's how you break down the country. So we have several cases like those. We have had the burning down of tea picking machines in Kericho and Bomet, again through incitement of leaders and impunity. The grievances around tea picking appear to me very genuine grievances, but the solution is not to destroy property and block highways where patients are using through ambulances ferrying patients are blocked simply because you have a problem with a multinational corporation. And that applies to every other dispute of whatever nature. So those are the measures we are taking. Never again will this country be allowed to slide into anarchy. We will stop the anarchists before they destroy the country. And it doesn't matter whether those anarchists are pro-government or anti-government. Honorable Chair, lastly, the member for, I think, Kitui West, I hope I got the constituency right, the Honorable Mrs. Nyenze, she has, I think there was a question on the timelines, whether there were timelines. It is true there were timelines. for administrative purposes. You know, you can't, for example, if you're processing post-election IDP compensation, you have to say, okay, can all those who are affected, can we know who are affected, so to organize for budget and compensate them? So we have timelines, but as I said at the beginning, Chair, those timelines are administrative timelines to ensure efficiency in service delivery. It doesn't amount to closure of the subject matter, because you cannot close human rights, enforcement of human rights. And very finally, the committee, all the apparatus of the states, let me put it this way on IDPs, because we keep on having different structures, different times, are in place. So there is no institutional gap in terms of addressing the plight of IDPs. And very finally, I think the question was asked about the humanitarian fund. I think we had a legal lapse somewhere, some action that government was supposed to have done to operationalize the humanitarian fund. I want to report to this committee that last month I surrendered 2 tranches of money in 2 accounts. These are monies that were supposed to go to the humanitarian fund, but the money has been lying dormant for 5 years in the bank, and therefore the National Treasury asks us to surrender. I remember one figure was 248 million, another figure of about 241 million, so in total about $500 million shillings, which was dormant. That money was dormant for 5 years, and according to the rules of the National Treasury, since the humanitarian, there was an institution which was supposed to be operationalized to expend, to assist in expending those funds. It had not been done, and I take responsibility for that. Lawfully to assist people who are bona fide and who should get the protection of the state or displacement. I thank you.
Order members. Honorable Caleb.
Yes, Waziri, there's one question that maybe I didn't get it clear or you didn't answer, is the bona fide beneficiaries who didn't appear when at the time of compensation, and they met all the criteria. Is it an ongoing process of compensation? Are you going to compensate them, or the exercise was locked or locked? Were they locked out, or will they be compensated when they appear?
Mr. Chair, I answered, if I may, I answered that question. I said that program, Operation Route in Nyumbani, was closed. It's an administrative program. But any human rights issues that are still outstanding are not closed. That's how I answered that question. But the program closed because it was supposed to be time bound. You cannot keep it, in perpetuity. But the issues of IDPs is a perpetual matter. It cannot be closed by statute. It can be closed by administrative time periods. Thank you.
Yeah, Honorable
Chair, I know after this you will go into the next one, and I'll be leaving. I want to thank you once again. I like the process, the way it has gone, the way it is going. I also want to thank the CS for saying it cannot be closed. The program can close, but the essence and that it means it will be opened. But I just want to add one more thing that we have not touched. we probably had imposters, natural. But I think during the process, there are also some irregularities that actually involved officers that were actually handling the matter that may have been responsible even for the inaccuracies that we have seen. But I think when you go back to, you can say, see, yes, me, I saw all this. I released those guys from mortuaries. The sick ones, I went there, I went to hospitals. It was terrible. I saw people chasing each other. You know, being a doctor, and this is a doctor, they can let you pass. I could pass. So it was I even told people, you know, some of this, we will go to ICC. They laughed. But this is where we are. But thank you again. Let's open it up. And my insistence on SEME is not just because that's my constituency, but it is the gap wherever it may be in the whole process. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, CS. If you can allow,
Thank you. Let allow us we close together. You are a friend of this committee today, so it's unfortunate we can't allow you to run away before we conclude. Honorable members, CS, I think as we come to the conclusion of this matter, a few things have come out, and that is what I would want to sum up. First is in 2007-2008, the government by then approached this resettlement program through the Rudi Nyumbani program. And when the Rudi Nyumbani program timelines closed, they closed the matter. But it has been unveiled through the wisdom of the CS and this committee that matters of human rights through our local law, that is Kenyan law, and international statutes, matters of human rights cannot be closed. So the issue of resettlement of people who are adversely affected in 2007-2008 post-election violence has been reopened. Let me say that. And the Minister for Interior has agreed to take full charge of that, so that because we have been on the ground as members to listen to these IDPs, Mzendege is alive today. Mzendege was actually the picture of the whole post-election violence, locally and internationally. And Mzendege has never been assisted by government in any way. It means a lot has not been done. The closing was irregular. Waziri has mentioned depoliticization of these programs. Whoever had tried to politicize the resettlement of IDPs, I think with this government and Waziri, we can comfortably say that the program has been reopened and is depoliticized. So it will get issues right. Secondly, Waziri, as you know, and you are veteran in what we are doing, if you are sitting on my chair, I believe you would have done better than I've done, because you've done it, you have more experience. But some cases would want immediate action. From where I sit as a chair, the end result of this process is a report to Parliament. And I know one of the proposals we will make to Parliament is we will open it up for discussion on the floor, because you have had members have a lot of interest on this matter. We can't just do a closed report. We will have to open it to the floor for discussion by members. Then if there is any thing that Waziri you would want, because part of the recommendations, we can have policy issues, we can have budgetary issues. If you feel you may need some money to, between now and then, you need some budget to resettle the likes of Mzendege, you have an opportunity to come through this petition in our report so that the Parliament can approve that. If it's something to do with legal something to do with a legal, we may need to advise for a legal statute, something to be, some law to be enacted to govern this. Waziri, this is an opportunity to get that done. So we'll keep engaging with you on this matter. Kindly, as you have said, let the matter of resettlement of IDPs open under your office. Let it remain depoliticized, as you put it, and kindly take up the issue of Mzendege personally. If you can take it to the president, the better. But I know you have the capacity to handle Mzendege. You can't lose two wives and 7 kids and become the picture of the whole thing. And now, up to date, you have not been assisted. Where is humanity, Waziri? I think though government is perpetual, but some things which were done by previously, you guys in government have to take it serious now and get it done. So allow me, Waziri, to close that matter at that point. Then we move to the next issue. And before I would want to put it to you that a letter was sent on 6th March inviting you to come to this committee for a petition on an expenditure which was done under Article 223, where money was spent without approval of the control of budget and the rest. The matter was sent to 2 committees. The petition came to us, and the regularization of the expenditure went to the Budget and Appropriations Committee. The Budget and Appropriations Committee, there were about 9 items of expenditure which were done under Article 223, and one was the spender was the Minister of Interior, but the Budget and Appropriations Committee agreed with the expenditure by the Minister of Interior. So you have few issues to answer around that. We had done a letter on 6th of March. Your office responded on 14th March saying the CS was not available. Then we did a reminder on 14th April, and we've not gotten a response up to now from the reminder. Then yesterday, after our discussion, you remember I indicated to you that you have several issues which needs to be handled by this committee. So we agreed, we remind you on these 223. If you have time, you can respond. But it's clear we don't have time for you to respond on that matter of 223. So you can say something about it. Then yeah, we close.
Chair, thank you, and I want to apologize to the committee for the previous invitation which we were not able to honor. The date you have given, Chair, 6th of March, when the committee wrote to us seeking us to appear before you, was one of the most difficult periods that we had in the country, because it was at the height of the North Rift security crisis, where banditry had run amok, and I was perpetually out of office throughout, and I really apologize. I could not have made it that time. Also 14th April, then that is actually when Shakahola happened, and so forth and so on. So I'm really sorry, and I want to commit that I am available at the invitation of this committee to come and dispose this matter within the next 2 weeks. We can get a date. I will honor it, and that's all what I have to say, Chair. But since this is my last space to address you, I just wanted to thank you for the courtesy that you have extended to me, you and your committee. And very happy to be back before former colleagues and people we have worked with before I went into this other side. Chair, I thank you and God bless you, and I wish you all the best in your work.
Thank you, Waziri. We also appreciate your time and also having the courtesy to explain the reasons as to why you are not able to appear by then, and the reasons are weighty and you've taken them, and for the reason that the Budget and Appropriations Committee regularized and approved the expenditure that was done, was incurred by the Ministry of Interior. Though there are some issues we may need you to respond to, I will, instead of you coming personally, I will extend our kindness and give you up to Friday to give a written submission on the matter so that we can conclude. That's okay?
Much obliged, I will comply, Chair.
Thank you, Waziri. And without any further ado, members, allow me to bring this meeting to a closure. We have another petition who is coming, not unless there is someone with an LB. So thank you. Waziri, thank you so much. Be blessed. We still have another invitee coming in.